Hello, and a very warm welcome to you all for our October Spotlight session. My name is Ray, and I'm delighted to be your Scat Youth host for the evening. Scat Youth is absolutely thrilled to be in partnership with Stonehaven Folk Club and Stonehaven Folk Festival to bring you another Spotlight session. As always, we love to see where everyone is watching from, so send us a little comment to say hello. My name is Ray, and we're going to be joined by the incredibly talented Scottish-Icelandic percussionist Signy Jakobsdottir.
Hi guys. Hi Ray.
Hi Signy, how are you?
Hi. Good, thanks. Cheers.
So tonight we're going to hear about some different types of drums and sounds you play, how you came to play them, and how you use them. Finish off with a brief touch on memorizing music. It all sounds so interesting. We're also going to have a Q&A, so make sure you let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. So Signy, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and the track that you just played?
So I'm a percussionist, and the track that I just played, I just kind of thought, what's going to work for tonight? I thought I would play a range of different sounds and different kind of instruments just to make it interesting, and I was just improvising, so just kind of made it up for tonight. So yeah, hope you liked it.
It was brilliant. We're going to move on to your talk now, which you mentioned earlier, so take it away.
Okay, thanks. So I thought it might be interesting to talk about how each musician is so unique, and a little bit about my journey, how I built up my kind of unique palette of instruments and sounds. Just the idea of, if you take sort of 100 guitar players and line them up, each one is going to, even though they play guitar, each one is going to sound very different. Just like if you take 100 fiddle players, each one's going to sound different, and they're going to have a different range of tunes that they know. And I think that's a really beautiful thing about each musician, that they all have their kind of unique style or range of techniques and so on. So this is a little bit about my journey. I started, one of the first drums that I learned to play was drum kit, and I just kind of learned that myself. And then when I went for lessons with a teacher, he encouraged me to try learning congas. So that was one of the first drums that I really worked on. This is a conga. Congas are kind of a Latin American instrument, especially from the island of Cuba, and they're essential in salsa music. So I learned to play congas. You need your hands, and learn lots of different techniques of how to make sounds with your hands. I just thought it was a beautiful drum. And I really enjoyed learning it, and I really enjoyed Cuban music and learning all about Latin music. So I kind of really got into that for a few years. During that time, I also learned bongos. This is a bongo. Sounds like this. Really high and really punchy sound. It's such a different sound from the conga, which is kind of in the middle and a kind of melodic sound. It's got a note to it, and the bongos are just that high punchy sound. After that, I went to college, and I was really lucky. I got to study with an Indian percussionist, and his name was Sharda Sahai. And I studied with him for a year, and I sat exams in Indian music. I don't have my Indian drums with me, but when I was learning the Indian drums, again, had to use my fingers to learn to make the sounds on the drums. And not only that, but I had to use my voice in the Indian system to learn the sounds of the drums. For example, tira kita taka. I've written some of them down. Or ge ge ti ti, ge ge ti ti, ge ge ti ti, ge ge tira kita, tira kita, tira kita, tira kita ta. So you would learn to speak the sounds that you make on the drums and the rhythms and compositions, and then you would have to play them. And during that time of studying with Sharda, I had to learn how to memorize everything that I played, which was very, very challenging. I had never really done that before, but I really enjoyed it. And it's become a lifelong skill that started then of being able to memorize drumming, memorize rhythms, memorize tunes, memorize whole gigs. Is such a useful skill. So yeah, that was the tablas that I learned. After that, I was lucky to kind of go into a type of music that's called Gamelan music, which is music from Indonesia. And they use a lot of metal bells and so on. Got one here. This is actually Indian bell, but kind of gives you the idea. It's beautiful sound. Gamelan music uses lots of metal and gongs and so on, but the drum that they have, we've got it here. It's called kendang, and it's very cool because it has, you can play it on this side and also on this side. So in Indonesian drumming, you also have to kind of speak the rhythms, and it sounds a bit like dulun dun tak dulun dun tak dulun dun tak dulun dang dulun tak dulun dang dulun tak dulun dang. So again, you have to memorize lots of long rhythms, and also physically holding your arms up and playing like that is takes a bit of physical strength. So I had to kind of work my arms to get stronger to be able to play this drum. I also learned to play Darabuka. You can see the shape of this drum. This is kind of Turkish and also Egyptian type of drum. You might recognize it from belly dancing music, and it sounds something like this. So really, really sort of groovy, funky drum. And I use this drum a lot with when I work with dancers. So yeah, that's the Darabuka. Also, I mean, following on from that, I started to learn the Cajon, which is what I played in the little clip that you saw. It's the drum that I'm sitting on here. The Cajon comes from Peru, and it is was originally a tea chest. And it was just whatever people had to hand that they could play, that they could make sound from. And then flamenco culture sort of adopted it and brought it back to Spain, and it's used a lot in flamenco dance. The cajon is brilliant because it's so good for using in folk music. In folk music, you're often in a living room or a pub or a kind of small space, and don't have much room for big drum kit or anything. And so it's easy to transport, and you can just kind of bring it along in a session. But it still takes a lot of technique. Again, you're using your hands. And so all of these drums, although each one is different and each one has its own unique technique, every drum has the same kind of principle of making a good open tone, a good slap sound, and little finger sounds. And so we can adapt the technique to play all these different types of drums. Yeah, and also I from there have migrated back to playing drum kit with good old drumsticks, cymbals and snare drum, bass drum. So my drum kit's sitting in the back of the room there. If we've still got time, I just wanted to mention also from our drum journey, I've also got some very unusual instruments. For example, because percussion is such a good instrument to use for sound effects in films or cartoons, little moments where there's some, crazy thing happening. So that's my flexitone. Here I've got a tiny little thing that makes the sound of birds. I've got my triangle, trusty triangle. I've got my little agogo bells. And over here, I've got some beautiful little bells from China. And some great little wood blocks. Finally, sometimes you don't just need sticks for instruments, but you can use a bow to create unusual sounds by bowing. Let's do another one. So with percussion, it's just you've got this great, incredible range of things that you can do to make just lots of different situations. In traditional music, sometimes I've been working with people like Misha McPherson, who sings these beautiful Gaelic songs that have long stories with many verses, and I just love working with her. She'll we'll build music together where she'll translate the Gaelic, and we'll find percussion sounds that kind of tell the story. So if there's a storm, maybe kind of create storm sounds, or if there's some sort of strange magic happening, use my little bells or the little glock. So yeah, it's really fun. I love percussion, and yeah, that's my melting pot of sounds. So yeah, hope that's okay.
Amazing. That was really interesting. Gavin says it was brilliant. Jay's saying that it was very interesting. So everyone's loving that. Now time for Q&A. If anyone's got any questions, make sure to send them in. First question is, so you said that you started learning drum kit just yourself. Is that right?
Yeah.
So how did you become interested in that, and what made you do that?
Well, I was lucky. My mom's a really beautiful singer. She's from Glasgow, and she sang Burns songs. So had a lot of music in my house, and I started piano when I was 7. And I liked piano, but I kind of didn't want to be a piano player. So I got into drums when I was 14. And my brother and his friends used to have a band, and they rehearsed in my house. And so I just used to jump on the drums, and I just really loved it from the word go. I really enjoyed it. So that's how I got onto drums.
Wow, that's cool. So you've obviously got loads of percussion instruments there.
Yeah.
Holly's saying she didn't realise that there were that many. Me too. So which one's your favourite? Or what are some of your favourites?
I love playing drum kit. I really do. It's so hard to pick an instrument. I love these little bells. They're just so sweet. Yeah, probably my favorite thing to play right now is drum kit. Yeah.
Cool. Right, if you could perform on any stage in the world with any musician, where would you perform and who with?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I think I actually often, when I'm practicing, I quite often imagine Beyonce being in the room, because I think she's an incredibly strong performer and very inspirational musician. And I just feel like that would that would be the most scary gig, and the most incredible gig. So and I loved her video that she did at Coachella. So that would probably be yeah, maybe Beyonce at Coachella.
Wow, that would be an amazing gig. Okay, what advice would you have for young musicians looking to start a career in music?
My advice, maybe, although it's very difficult to give advice, every situation is so different for every musician. I think my main advice would be to take every opportunity that you have to play, even if you're scared to do it. Take it and grab it, and also small opportunities and big opportunities, kind of treat them all the same. So if it's a small opportunity, give it as much passion as a big opportunity.
Amazing.
Because
that's really good advice. Well, that was fantastic. I think unfortunately it's time for us to say goodbye for the night. A massive thank you to Signy for joining us here, and thank you to our lovely viewers for joining in as well. We'll be back on Saturday the 20th of November for our next Spotlight session. So thank you to everyone for watching, and hope you have a great rest of the night. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Lovely